So how is Diwali? How is Diwali का? No one is going home? When? तुम तो आज आए हो, मुझे लगा घर से ही आए होगे. तो अच्छा, means था. How was it? So when are you people going? 26th. And coming back? Everyone? Not all, everyone is not going? क्या करोगे दिल्ली में रह के दिवाली में? If your house is nearby, if you have not planned, go. Because क्या होगा? 3 दिन you are not going to study. There will be more stress. फिर ऐसा लगेगा काश मैं घर होके आता. You go home, you get motivated. थोड़ी रियलिटीज़ भी पता लग जाती है. मम्मी डैडी के एक्सपेक्टेशंस आके जोश के साथ पढ़ते हो. तो इससे अच्छा निकल जाओ. मीन्स यहाँ पे पढ़ाई नहीं होने वाली. दैट इज़ 100% श्योर. नहीं. Those who are very far away, तो उनके पास there is no choice. So can you see, as we were speaking yesterday, हमें बीच में एकदम break आ गया था. So you can see that geography as a subject, एक स्कूल था possibilism का, एक स्कूल था quantitative revolution का, एक स्कूल था determinism का, एक स्कूल था humanism का, एक स्कूल था radicalism का, and this has given shape to entire syllabus of geography. Fine? Entire syllabus of geography. There is NCERT में there is one diagram, and this part is also given very properly even in the NCERT. So in that diagram of NCERT, that is, I will this diagram is present in NCERT also, your 11th standard NCERT first chapter, the scope of geography by Feynman. So Feynman gave, this is what is the geography. So this subject geography, it is like a flower. Political geography we have taken from history. Commercial geography we have taken from economics. Biogeography we have taken from biology. Meteorology we have taken from climatology. Climatology we have taken from meteorological science. Physiography we have taken from geology, and this, the other part, that is we have taken from the astronomy, that is the outside ka geography we have taken from this thing. So this concept of geography, and therefore you can see geography is the synthesis of many subjects. A problem is there when you are studying we agree that geography is the study of man and its surrounding environment. Problem है, what is environment? Physical geography जो हम कर रहे हैं school, possibilism, they are saying कि environment is physical surroundings. Right? Possibilism कहेगा no, environment is human. Quantitative revolution will say there is no environment, it is all abstract, empirical science. Geography is an empirical science. It is built on models, model building, theorization. फिर उसके बाद आएगा radicalism, and which will bring the geography back to the Feynman ka diagram. So this is what is the geography. So before I begin today's lecture, one simple thing, can you tell me what is the difference between, or what is Marxism? What is Marxism? Balbir. Social means of controlled by so Marxism is that is the means of production should be controlled by the people. Fine. People will represent and therefore people will represent, elect and give that means of production control in the hands of few people. That is what is the government. So people will elect the government and the government will redistribute it to the people. That is socialism. Fine. And if the government, people will give the control to the government, but government sar pe chad ke baithegi, means so government will not know, now redistribute it. Government will say, yes, now you have elected us, we are the dictator. That is communism, in simple words. The basic difference between Marxism and Maoism. See, both of these ideologies, socialism is when there is a redistribution. Because everything belongs to people, take it. That is socialism. Communism is there is redistribution, but the only difference is socialism में government कहेगी ये आपका है, this is yours, take it. Fine. Communism में government will say this is ours, we are giving to you to use it, but ultimately it belongs to us. Fine. So Marxism is an ideology in which the means of production, especially land is one of the most important means of production. Should it be privately owned? Capitalism. Should it be publicly owned? Marxism versus Maoism. Now I am asking you, what is the difference between Marx and Maoist? Marxism? क्या है solution? कैसे extreme है? You are right, but कैसे extreme है? वैसे नहीं, Marxism is an extreme or Maoism is an extreme. Maoism is an extreme form of society. Perfect. In the terms of geography, I am asking you this question in the terms of geography. We are not concerned. वैसे I am telling you what is the basic difference. Marxism and Maoism both are the ideologies. Marxism से ही Maoism inspire हुआ, in which the means of production should be controlled by the people. The state organ which is oppressing the people should be removed by armed revolution. दोनों कहता है by armed revolution. But Marx कहाँ का था? Where was Marx from? Germany, Russia or Germany? Germany. Where was Mao from? China. Germany, was it urban or agricultural society? Urban society. And China is agricultural society. So when he talks about urban middle class labor, जिसको कहता है proletariat, urban labor class going against the revolt, it is Marxism. When it talks about the farmers या village के लोग going against the state, it is Maoism. Right? This is the basic difference. हमेशा याद रखना settings. And because the urban class is there, it is educated class, it is working class. The only thing they don't want exploitation. Fine. Companies उनकी नहीं है, so it is less violent. This is extremely violent because ये गांव के लोग हैं. Understanding these are the village community, these are the people and they can take the blood. इसलिए Marxist and Maoist, CPI Maoist का symbol देखना. It is sickle. Sickle is जिससे किसान use करता है. So Maoism is always in rural areas, farms. Marxism is always in urban areas. Fine. In geography, there were Marxist ideological thinkers and we used to call them as radicals. We will require this as a negative of quantitative revolution, as a negative of the school of determinism, etc. When you are a bit liberal, fine, you are against quantitative revolution, you are a bit liberal, you will be called as welfareism. Fine. And if you are not at all liberal, you are extremely, you can say, staunch support of Marxist, you are known as radicalism. Radicalism is a school of thought in geography which is similar to Maoism, extreme form hai. And this is more liberal form, welfareism. Fine? Bas. स्टेटलेस क्लासलेस सोसाइटी मार्क्स का है एंड स्टेज, बट एंड स्टेज में पहुंचने के लिए पहले आर्म रिवोल्ट होगा, आर्म रिवोल्ट के बाद देयर विल बी लीडर, राइट, लीडर जो आर्म रिवोल्ट करेगा, फिर कोई केओस होगा सोसाइटी में, सो दैट लीडर विल टेक द कंट्रोल, चाहे इट इज लेनिन, चाहे इट इज स्टालिन, वेदर इट इज माओ, एंड व्हेन द लीडर टेक्स द कंट्रोल, हाँ सोशलिज्म का ही एक्सट्रीम है, सो इसीलिए तो वी कहते हैं कि मार्क्सिज्म इज एन यूटोपियन कंसेप्ट, इट इज नॉट अ रियल कंसेप्ट, इट इज एन यूटोपियन कंसेप्ट. इंडिया टुक, नेहरू न्यू कि ये कभी हो नहीं सकता, देयरफॉर इंडिया टुक सोशलिज्म, मिक्स्ड इकोनॉमी. मार्क्स कहता है कि सबको निकाल दो, सबको कौन निकालेगा? लोग, लोगों को लीड करने के लिए देयर हैज टू बी ए लीडर. That leader is obviously very powerful. The people will follow the leader. Not everyone is the leader. People will follow the leader. That leader will become very powerful. Now, to remove the inequalities, he will require some support. And that support can be bureaucracy or government or military, militia. Fine? With this militia, he will keep on removing the dissent in the society and keep on helping the people. And thus, Marxism या किसी भी socialism में एक सबसे बड़ा problem है कि जो लीडर है उसको कौन कंट्रोल करेगा? Who will control the conqueror? Right? Suppose if tomorrow Trump को निकाल के there is some become some Marxist leader बन जाता है, he will try to rule the USA with iron hand. If he is from inside good person, he won't be a dictator. But generally humans are corrupt. There is a saying, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So this is an absolute power, it will corrupt a person and he will become a dictator. Fine? Yeah, dictatorship of proletariat. But if there are 1 crore proletariat, how can 1 crore people rule? There has to be one elected leader then, right? And that elected leader is the one who is very powerful. You take an example, Gaddafi, you take example Saddam Hussein, you take example Hugo Chavez, you take an example of who was in the person with Cuban cigar, Castro, Fidel Castro. Yeah, he was a good dictator, but what about Gaddafi? What about North Korea King Kim Jong-un? What is his name? So, what about Mao? What about Xi Jinping? किसने कहा चाइना इज लिबरल? नॉट एट ऑल, दिखाते हैं लिबरल है. What did he say in the last part of the lecture? He was talking to Chinese friends, Uday Bhaskar, and जो गवर्नमेंट के खिलाफ जाता है, इंडिया में मर्डर्स हो जाते हैं जनरली, पॉलिटिकल मर्डर्स. जो वहाँ पे गवर्नमेंट को चैलेंज करता है, शी जिनपिंग को लीडरशिप को, वन हु चैलेंज, उसकी अब तक बॉडी भी नहीं मिली है. फाइन, सो मर्डर तो छोड़ो, उसकी बॉडी भी नहीं मिलती. सो दिस इज व्हाट इज, एंड ये है प्रॉब्लम व्हेन यू try to bring in unnecessary things in the subject which does not deal with it. So why I am telling you, क्योंकि you should know in the school of determinism, ठीक है, geography है, let us study with physical landforms, weather, climate, agriculture, soil. Why you want to discuss economics etc? Because ये सब problems होने शुरू होते हैं. Getting it? किसमें? रेड कुर्ती? माओइज्म. यस, क्योंकि इन सब का क्रिटिसिज्म ऑल्सो वी विल हैव टू राइट, वेदर इट इज आस्क्ड इन द एग्जाम और नॉट, यू शुड राइट criticism is they don't have solutions. Their end stage is utopian, universal brotherhood, comrade. एक दूसरे को they call comrade, that is brother, right? Universal brotherhood. Ask him. Right? So coming where I was in the last class. the same racial group, Ellen Churchill's sample said कि जो warm climate के हैं, they are easy going, they are emotional, they are impulsive. Is emotional a good thing or a bad thing? Not person being emotional and impulsive is good or bad? It is always being rational is always good. That is, you are not afraid of defeat, you are not very much excited by the victory, then only impulsive हो गए तो करोगे, आज सुबह उठ के 4 बजे उठ के 3 घंटे पढ़ाई, फिर 4 दिन बिल्कुल भी चीज़ें नहीं होगी. So ये है impulsive. So she is saying tropical climate का regions लोग है impulsive and उसके regions के लोग are very rational. And therefore, she says, as a result of this, climate has distinguished between the same grouping of the people, and therefore, the southern part of the Europe is not developed as compared to the northern part. And it is true today. Portugal, Italy, Spain, Greece, these are not developed countries. Fine? Yugoslavia, these are not developed countries. In fact, though it is Europe, we respect them. But in reality, in the economic terms, what do you call these countries as? Pigs nation. Their economy is based on agriculture. Agriculture में the most important is pig. Portugal, Italy, Greece and Spain. These are known as the pig nations, pigs nation. जैसे some states in India are known as cow belt, right? So ऐसे they are known as pigs nation, and this was coined by IMF only. So next point, thus she distinguishes, I guess we have written it, between the two same racial group between two different climates. Have you written that? Thus she distinguishes between the, what is the last line? Difference between the same racial group based on climate. There is a difference. Next paragraph. Sample also used climate to distinguish between the people of developed and developing nations. Developed and developing nations. Developed and developing nations. She considers people in, she considers the people in fertile regions, such as India, fertile and warm regions such as India, comma, delta of Nile, etc. Nile, N-I-L-E, Nile, etc. are having numerous religions, manners, customs. And superstitions. देखो एग्जाम में सिर्फ इंडिया लिखो. Countries, people such as country of India are superstitious. She is saying that, and that is due to geography. Delta of Nile और सब मैंने सिर्फ आपको एग्जाम्पल दिए कि she is not sparing anyone in the tropical region, whether it is Nile, whether it is India, whether it is Indus, whether it is the Danube and Dnieper river, उसी का region Europe. So for her everything which is superior is present in the northwestern Europe. But in the exam you just remember India ka people. She says India ka people are superstitious. As a follower of Ratzel, she went in Germany. As a follower of Ratzel, she went to Germany. And see, he is saying the sample is from America. Yes, she is from America. Whenever we say Anglo-American School of Geography, it means Northwestern Europe and American School. दोनों का climate, racial characteristics are same. So fine. ऐसा नहीं है कि yes, Anglo-American School means mostly it is English speaking, and English speaking will be Britain and USA. But it also Northwestern European School will also be including American School, and क्योंकि racial homogeneity है. Fine. So ये चीजें थोड़ी कंफ्यूज करती है. दैट इज इफ यू स्टार्ट रीडिंग बुक्स नाउ यू विल गेट कंफ्यूज कि ये ऐसे कह रहा है, ऐसे इतने कॉन्ट्राडिक्शंस क्यों है, बिकॉज दे हैव नॉट एक्सप्लेन्ड यू. एंग्लो अमेरिकन स्कूल को भी कभी कभी सैंपल कहते हैं, कभी कभी देश से नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न जर्मन स्कूल ऑफ जोग्राफर. इट इज बिकॉज शी वेंट एंड सेटल्ड इन जर्मनी एंड देन शी रिटर्न बैक टू यूएसए लेटर ऑन. Right? So she is saying Indians are highly superstitious. Why Indians are highly superstitious? Because Indians, the land of India has very big rivers, vast fertile plains. Climate keeps on changing due to monsoon, and when the monsoon comes, it comes with so much lightning, thunder that human beings cannot control it. And थोड़ा ऊपर जाओगे तो इंडिया में there is highest mountains in the world. So हमेशा Indians feel powerless in comparison to the nature, and therefore their superstitions have grown. कि this is God, this is that, this is that. Fine. ये लोग अमेरिका की जब बात करते हैं, ये गए हैं ओनली इन द न्यू इंग्लैंड रीजन, वो नीचे गए ही नहीं अमेरिका में. उनको पता ही नहीं अमेरिका कितना बड़ा है. they think America means this area which the temperate latitudes which they live. Taxing conditions are different and powering of nature is different. It may be a very good condition, but if the natural calamity comes, then it becomes impossible for humans to control it. ये उसका कहना है, superstitious. This is because of the presence of great mountains, vast plains, or topography which excites, fancy and paralyzes reasoning. Understanding? See, suppose if you go to Mount Everest suddenly, you will not wonder at its beauty. You will not think कि वो कैसे बना होगा, क्या होगा. So she is saying the same thing, which will excite the fancy but paralyze the reasoning power of the brain. Fine? Full stop. This is the end of sample. Past year there has been 2 questions regarding sample, contributions of sample, and the एक बार दिया था as it is the dialogue. Man is the product of the earth. He is the dust of the dust. So understand what you have to write. इसी में सारे सब आंसर्स है. इसी में से यही पढ़ के जाना. You don't have to study any other geographer separately. You have to just study this, and short notes also you can write from here. So even if the question comes from sample, you have to mention more about sample, but you will have to mention about determinism also. Start from Ratzel, end at sample. Fine? If the question comes on Huntington, start at Ratzel, give reference to sample, and write more about Huntington. Fine? Huntington was one of the biggest authors of his times. There are 2 books here, Climate and Civilization, जो bestseller था during his times. And his second book was also bestseller, The Pearls of Asia. He was the staunchest climatic determinist. There are determinists, there can be physical determinists, there can be determinist which based only on climate, and he was the staunchest climatic determinist. He properly studied and proved to the world कि जब there was a drought in Eurasia or in Asia, that time coincided with the Mongol ka invasion in Europe and Asia. Understanding? So he showed that how drought changed the history of South Asia, how drought changed the history of Europe. Mongols initially, because वहाँ पे there was a huge drought, and therefore Mongols in the search of food initially went to Europe, captured the Europe, and then later on came to India, Mughals ho ya Sultanates ho, etc. Fine? There were different periods of the drought. And secondly, he gave one of the biggest theories of in the climate and civilization ki how climates will be differentiating the people, and इसमें वो compare करता है Indians and Pakistans को. Pakistani people, he says, are born in the dry climatic regions, Indians in the moist climatic regions. In the moist climatic regions, agriculture is more important, and soil being very fertile, you don't have to take that much importance to the agriculture. ये सिर्फ सुन लो, लिखना हम इतना लिख नहीं सकते एग्जाम में, but you should know the concepts. So because soil is very fertile, you should not use heavy equipment. So यहाँ पे people will use bullocks or cattle, and therefore cattle becomes holy in this region. Superstitious belief that cattle becomes holy in this region. Pakistan में the fields are vast, it is a dry climate, and बहुत ज़्यादा मेहनत करनी पड़ती है जो machine से होगी या फिर होगी नहीं. It will be either by machines or by not by anything. So cattle is not holy there. Fine? Then he says, because Indian people, because of their superstitious beliefs, don't eat non-veg, while Pakistan will eat non-veg or beef-eating population. And then he compares the same racial group of Punjabi versus Pakistani. Punjabi Indian, Pakistani Indian, and he will show how Punjabi Pakistani, a Pakistani is from Punjab region, has more height, has well muscular body, has well developed mental awareness, has well developed health. On the other hand, Indians have weak health. Then India becomes the house of malaria, malnutrition, dengue, while Pakistan mein ye diseases come hai. And then he says it is all because of climate. Understanding? ये है Huntington. ऐसे बहुत सारे examples हैं. For example, one of the very good examples of the geographical environment through the persistence of its influence acquires peculiar significance. This environment changes the history and history changes the culture. ये कौन कहता है? Sample. Fine. Islands show certain fundamental point of agreement which can be distinguished. कोई भी island nation है because they live in the same climatic settings. किसका thinking है? Ratzel की student है. Ratzel was the first person who compared islands. Now she is comparing the islands. Islands show certain points of agreement which can be distinguished in the terms of economic, ethnic and historical development, and therefore England, Japan, Melanesia, Fiji, New Zealand, Crete, Cyprus, these are good economic countries. Now imagine England, Japan, fine, Crete in the Mediterranean Sea, totally different. Fiji in the Pacific Ocean, New Zealand in the Southern Hemisphere. वो कहते हैं ये सब एक जैसे है. Why? Because similar climate produce same living conditions. Ratzel ka dialogue. Fine. The great belts of deserts and steppes extending from across the old world. Old world matlab hamara. Asia is old world. Gives us a vast territory of rare historical uniformity. From time immemorial, they have been born, and these regions, that is the old world, have been the regions of barbaric tribes, wandering herdsmen who have sent out the hordes, means large group mein, to conquer Eurasia and Africa. This has given birth to Indo-Aryans, Huns, Tartars, Turks, Mongols. Fine? So ये है उसका and ये point और कौन आके लेके गया? Huntington. We are going to directly write about Huntington. Ellsworth Huntington was a pupil of or was a student of W.M. Davis. He was the staunch supporter or strongest supporter of climatic determinism. He explained how the droughts in Asia led to invasion of Europe, India and China. Droughts in Central Asia led to the invasion of India and China, Europe छोड़ दो, by Mongols. Today China is Mongoloid population, Mongol race, right? Was it earlier a Mongol race? No. South Asia? No. Negroid था वो सब पूरा region. Entire Southeast Asia was Negroid race. It is the people from Mongolia first captured China. They started ruling there. वहाँ से then they captured the Southeast Asia. Fine? When over the subsequent generations, when they started ruling China properly, they knew their history कि वहाँ कहाँ से आए थे, and they were always fearful कि वहाँ से फिर से attack हो सकता है, and therefore through the north they constructed the Great Wall of China. There is a Great Wall of China to stop the invasion. Fine? See, it is all about ideas. किस आदमी को कब idea आएगी? Fine? हमें बहुत पहले से पता था कि there is something known as gunpowder. Fine? But during the older days, Chinese ho, Mughals ho, till the medieval India, till someone in Germany got an idea, gunpowder को use करते थे in cannons. Cannons में gunpowder डाल के उसको जलाते थे और they used to throw away huge ball of stone or iron. इतना ज़्यादा gunpowder. फिर किसी के दिमाग में आया कि नहीं, gunpowder से तो मैं छोटा करूँगा, उसकी वेलोसिटी बढ़ाऊंगा तो वो तो बुलेट बन जाएगी. फाइन? गन पाउडर वॉज ऑलवेज देयर. सो सेम थिंग कि क्लाइमेट वॉज ऑलवेज देयर. इट इज ऑल अबाउट व्हाट इज द इम्पल्स, व्हाट इज द स्टिमुलस यू गेट, एंड सडनली एक आइडिया आ जाती है. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. इन हिज बुक सिविलाइजेशंस एंड क्लाइमेट, in his book Civilizations and Climate, he asserted that civilizations could develop only in the regions of stimulating weather. Only in the regions of stimulating weather. On the other hand, the heat of the tropics would not allow the civilizations will not allow the civilizations to attain the highest level, to attain the highest level. According to him, ब्रैकेट में लिखना, प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी. That is the name of his book. 3 बुक है उसकी, पल्स ऑफ एशिया, क्लाइमेट एंड सिविलाइजेशंस एंड प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी. सी, ही वाज नॉट टोटली राइट आल्सो. क्यों, व्हाई इन द ट्रॉपिकल रीजन्स डिड नॉट चोला एम्पायर बिकेम वेरी बिग? यू कैनॉट से नॉर्थ इंडिया का महाजनपदास, अशोका, अकबर, मुगल, दिस इज ऑल इन द स्टिमुलेटिंग एनवायरनमेंट. ही इज सेइंग कि ट्रॉपिकल रीजन्स जहाँ पे मोनोटोनस हीट है, वहाँ पे वी हैव वन बिग एम्पायर एज चोला एम्पायर, संगम एज, राइट? सो ही वाज नॉट टोटली राइट. बट ये जब कहते हैं हीट, उनके दिमाग में एक ही है, अफ्रीका. वाई ह्यूमन बींग्स आर सो इन द बैड स्टेज इन द अफ्रीका, वाई दे आर इन द बेस्ट स्टेज इन द यूरोप? सो क्या है, इफ यू आर यूरोपियन एंड इफ यू गो टू अफ्रीका एंड सी द पॉवर्टी देयर, सी द प्रॉब्लम्स देयर, यू विल से अरे अच्छा, दिस इज बिकॉज इतना गंदा क्लाइमेट है यहाँ पे, एंड देयर यू बिकम अ डिटर्मिनिस्टिक इन नेचर. इट मे नॉट बी लॉजिकल. अंडरस्टैंडिंग प्रिंसिपल ऑफ ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी, bracket closed. He says that persons in the temperate region have energy for all kind of physical and mental activities. All kind of physical and mental activities. And therefore, highest innovation and reforms are carried out in temperate regions. Highest innovations, reforms were carried out in temperate regions. Similarly, the determinism of the school as a school of study was also seen in Mackinder's publication Geographical Pivot of History. ये उसका पब्लिकेशन है जिसमें उसने दिया था हार्टलैंड थियरी, ज्योग्राफिकल पाइवोट ऑफ हिस्ट्री. In Geddes concept of urban geography, Geddes concept of urban geography, Eopolis, Tranopolis, Necropolis, Metropolis, Geddes concept of urban geography. Next. Many deterministic geographers tried to analyze the health of the people, their nutrition status, soil agricultural problems, based on climate. Example, Roosevelt. It has nothing to do with the American president. Roosevelt remarked or said, if the soil is gone, civilizations and people must go. If the soil is gone, civilizations and people must go. Understanding this statement? If there is no soil और जान नहीं है soil में, पूरा civilization गया. Or maybe the people will get extinct. Full stop. Now you tell me, do you agree with this philosophy? Yes or no? Determinism. Now, I'll take one example, fine? A person of Dravidian community who is staying in Tamil Nadu migrates to Kashmir and starts staying there. उसको फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, but उसके next generation will be slightly fair. उसका next generation may be slightly tall. उसका next generation will have change in the biological characteristics. Or forget that. A person from Africa migrates to USA. A person from India migrates to USA. Though drastic change नहीं आता, but still you can make from their children कि yes, they are not Indians. Skin changes, tone changes, maybe the nutrition, height changes. Is it not there? Can you easily make out a difference between an Indian and Indian American? इंडो अमेरिकन जो इतने सालों से वहाँ रह रहा है, you can easily say what is the difference between Indian American and Indian. Obviously it comes in the way of living, presentation, etc. But थोड़ा बहुत change है. Is not Barack Obama comparatively fair as compared to his native population in? वैसे ये direct मत लिखना, ये racist लगेगा. But is it not direct comparatively fair as his native population in Ethiopia या Kenya? His mother is white? Are you sure? Then it is a wrong example. Think of some other example then. I am not saying कि जो मैरिज कर रहे हैं उनके चेंजेस नहीं कह रहा हूँ मैं. I am saying कि जो यहाँ से ही मैरिज करके गए हैं and they are growing up there, there is no mixing of the gene pool, there are changes in them. Whether it is in Canada, whether it is in anything, the reason is because yes, climate has the best example. अब हम ये examples नहीं लेंगे, हम example लेंगे of Roosevelt, that is the case of Shetland ponies. The famous case of a Shetland ponies. Shetland is a small island which is there, and Shetland ponies are the type of the horses which are very, very short horses. So these are so initially scientists thought, or the biological people thought See, this is the horse, the size of a dog, or this is the photo of an horse. This is what is the Shetland ponies. Inki height is very less. So we initially thought that this is a different race in itself of the horses, a different genetic variety which is there in the horses. But over the period of time when the research was done, understanding kitna hai height, when the research was done, it was found that the Shetland ponies are the horses which were brought by Mongols much earlier from Mongolia, and there is the same genetic makeup. But over the period of time, unka height has kept on decreasing because they have started living on the island. What does it point out to? Environment, impact of environment on the, getting it? Impact of environment on the genetic gene set. This is what is the example of the, ye hai best example. We are going to take examples mostly from the books only, right? So case study 1. The Shetland ponies, S-H-E-T-L-A-N-D, Shetland ponies. Shetland ponies are the smallest horses in the world. Shetland ponies are the smallest horses in the world. About 1 meter in height. Inka height is somewhere around 1 meter. But when such ponies were taken to USA, क्यों लेके गए थे यूएसए में? एक बिजनेसमैन को वहाँ पे ये हॉर्सेस डोमेस्टिकेशन एज अ पेट्स बेचने थे. ही वाज सो मच डिसअपॉइंटेड क्योंकि नेक्स्ट जनरेशन ऑफ द हॉर्सेस स्टार्टेड ग्रोइंग नॉर्मली, शेटलैंड पोनीज का. व्हेन दे वर टेकन टू यूएसए, दिस पोनीज were born under the different climatic conditions. They started growing like normal horses. Fine. Second example. The original Chinese and Japanese population who migrated to Europe and USA saw increase in the weight as well as height in the subsequent generations. क्या है ये? Positive of determinism. Third example, it is the climate of a region which defines culture, And therefore, most of the countries in the hot and humid regions like India, most of the countries in the hot and humid regions such as India, are not suited. See, this is also a fact. I am not I am biased here. Are not suited for use of animal protein, especially red meat, especially the red meat. Means जो Indians naturally जो है, what is the ideal food for them is to be veg. Fine. Why? Because यहाँ का climatic conditions are so dangerous that you should not be eating red meat. I am not talking about chicken and fish. It is about the beef. It is about the pork. It is about the higher forms of the meat, red meat. But if you are going to eat them in India, where there is tropics, जहाँ पे there is high amount of viruses and bacteria in the environment, obviously the animals will be having those in the gut. And therefore, if you are going to have any kind of a meat in India, the style for cooking has to be Indian, not the style which is followed in Western countries. What is the Indian style of cooking? Samosa, take an example. They will put it in a boiling oil. Understanding? Forget nutrients. Virus भी नहीं बचेगा at such an high temperature. Nutrients तो मर जाते हैं, that is different, but there will be no virus. On other hand, if you are eating a roadside ka sandwich or burger, chances of you developing any kind of a viral disease is very high. On other hand, you are eating ताज़ा समोसा, चाहे कितना भी गंदा होने दो, उसमें सिर्फ सड़ा हुआ आलू नहीं होना चाहिए. Otherwise, if it is this thing, nothing will happen to you. Why? Cooking style. You see how we prepare meat. We put it in the cooker. We don't put it in the oven and just kacha khate hai. This is all because of this thing. And इसीलिए India does not have that much case of swine flu, bird flu as compared to the Western countries. Getting it? Criticisms of environmental determinism. What are the criticisms? Tell me the first criticism of environmental determinism. Now, when you criticize anything in this point, always put with the examples. No need of geographer ka example. You can put it here, green revolution. You can put here man going to the moon. You can put about deserts being converted into mega cities in Saudi Arabia, Dubai, California, Los Angeles, anything. Fine. You can talk about how we are now controlling the pollution. You can talk about how we have increased the food production through high yielding variety of seeds. You can talk about how even in the toughest of the environment, we can now control the microclimate of a region through air conditioning. This is what is possibilism. Human can do anything. Had this been determinism, तो कुछ नहीं हो सकता. This is very hot region. Fine? So first point. Spate. We should always start with spate. Criticized environmental determinism because environment without man is meaningless. because environment without man is meaningless. Environment without man is meaningless. On the other hand, environmentalism separates man from the environment. जो मैंने आपको कल भी बताया था, अल्बर्ट आइंस्टाइन का एग्जाम्पल लेके, environmentalism separates man from the environment. Second, it does not give much importance to, it does not give much importance to man's creative genius. Man's creative genius in shaping the environment. In shaping the environment. Shaping the environment. Not the next point, but change the paragraph. Diffusion of innovation. Diffusion of innovation. Occurs through social capital, occurs through social capital, comma, human understanding, rather than environment. Can you tell me what is diffusion of innovation? Diffusion of innovation is how ideas spread quickly. सोशल मीडिया पे कोई रूमर है, इसको यहाँ मार दिया, it spreads quickly, it may result into riot. That is not innovation, that is only diffusion. Diffusion of innovation means anything that is creative. Creative means that is good for the society. Understanding? That is what is the diffusion of innovation. For example, maybe you see an idea कि प्लास्टिक को कैसे डिस्ट्रॉय करना है. You share it on the Facebook. वहाँ से someone shares, and this is how entire world will start doing it. This is what is known as the diffusion of innovation. It depends upon how educated the people are. Educated people means high social capital. Robert Putnam का concept है the social capital, the concept of a social capital. We have a separate topic as a social capital in our next chapter. Fine. What is the social capital? It is said that in a country like India, social capital is seen only during India-Pakistan का match. Understanding? What do you mean by this statement? और ये किसने कहा था? ये पटनाम नहीं कहा था. Social capital is very high in the developed nations, means brotherhood, bonding, integrity, trust is very high in the developed nations. But in developing nations, especially he took the example of India and Pakistan. He said social capital is seen only during India-Pakistan cricket match. Then only you forget whether you are Hindu, Muslim, Christian, or whether you belong to XYZ caste. अब सब साथ में होते हो. Otherwise, there is mukhota of religion, caste, etc. on the face. This is what is the social capital. Understanding? So it is not determined by कि climate of Kerala क्या है तो idea अब जाएगी कि नहीं. It is not density of the air which is going to determine the spread of ideas. Is what is the meaning of the statement. Next. Societies and culture, societies and culture are human creations, are human creations against natural creations, against the natural creations. Human creations against natural creations. Societies and cultures are human creations against the natural creations. It is not, society and culture is not only determined by the nature, it is also determined by the humans. You go to Kerala, you go to UP, I'll take an example of UP, then I'll come to example of Kerala. A marriage, whether it is of Hindu, Muslim or Punjabi, in UP will have a same style. Fine? A marriage of a Punjabi Muslim and Punjabi Hindu will be of the same style. It is the culture of a region, coherence of a people which will determine it. Fine? What is radicalism? Ki ab a person from who is Muslim from in India, rather than listening to the climate and the culture, traditions, I am not talking here about Hindu culture. Remember, seeks guidance from someone who is guiding him from Saudi Arabia. And a Hindu who is in from Kerala starts taking guidance from who is guiding him from maybe Varanasi. And वहाँ से problem शुरू हो जाती है. Understanding? Everything is determined by the culture here. Example, and you can draw the diagram. Example, till the time I draw the diagram, you can take down. Human innovation in the terms of irrigation. Human innovation in the terms of irrigation. Have changed the barren lands of Punjab and Rajasthan. Have changed the barren lands of Punjab and Rajasthan into regions of green revolution. Into the regions of green revolution. Through canal irrigation. Through canal irrigation. Through canal irrigation. Similarly, mighty river like Ganga and Brahmaputra, mighty rivers like Ganga and Brahmaputra have been controlled by making dams, have been controlled by making dams. Have been controlled by making dams. You can draw this diagram. ये बुक्स में नहीं मिलेगा. This is what is known as innovation. Theory वही लिखनी है जो बुक्स में है. Innovation, you have to tell the examiner how you have innovated. Is this determinism or possibilism? Rajasthan, Ganganagar district. What is this? Indira Gandhi Canal project, Command Area Development Project. Indira Gandhi Canal, which starts from river Satluj, right? And it is giving water to the Jaisalmer, which is the driest desert in the India, which is one of the driest regions in the world. One of the, not obviously dry. You want to take an example, best example of diffusion of innovation? Best example is a person from China runs away from the Chinese government, lands up in Bombay, fine, in 1960s. And वहाँ पे Chinese refugee colonies में वो रहता है, is very poor. He is not finding any kind of food that is present in India. It is very spicy, it is very oily, etc. So, and he does not have any living, because though Indo-China bhai bhai people say, but nobody is ready to employ a Chinese who does not understand any Indian language, right? So he starts selling noodles on street. But he soon realizes कि इंडिया को वो plain Chinese noodle पसंद नहीं आएगी. So he starts learning Indian food and adds everything in that noodle, whether it is garlic, whether it is oil, whether it is everything, and makes a dish which you already know is known as veg Manchurian or chicken Manchurian. It is an Indian dish, it is not a Chinese dish. Fine? It becomes so popular that person today owns a chain of restaurants known as mainland China. You must have heard about the mainland China, fine? So that mainland China ka owner, he started his life in slums of Mumbai, and then usse inspire okay, you can find now Manchurian. You don't have to go to mainland China, you just have to get down from the building, walk for a certain distance, and you will find any Manchurian in India, fine? So this is what is the diffusion of innovation. But ये चीज़ें आपको गांव में नहीं मिलेगी, because गांव में people are rigid. This can happen only in the cities. Getting it? This is what is known as diffusion of innovation. Getting it? Next example. Gujars and Bakarwals. Gujars and Bakarwals. Now this is where Majid Hussain ka book is very good. It has numerous examples. Baki ke Sudipta Adhikari and these books are more theoretical. They don't have a single example. So Gujars and Bakarwals are nomadic tribes of Jammu and Kashmir which live on the slopes. Are the tribes which live on the slopes, don't write nomadic tribes, are the tribes which live on the slopes. Are the tribes of Jammu and Kashmir which live on the slopes. But Gujars are nomads while Bakarwals are cultivators. बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल है ये, बिकॉज एक स्टेट एक ही माउंटेन रेंज, पीर पंजाल रेंज का ही एग्जाम्पल है. दिस बोथ लिव इन द सेम एरिया, बट वन इज नोमैडिक हर्ड्समैन, Gujars, and Bakarwals are agriculturalists. Yes, they will also go from one place to another, that is known as transhumans, but they will settle there and do cultivation. So this is how same climate, same slope, same mountain range, same state, same region of India, but दोनों के लिए slope का मतलब दूसरा है. ये कहता है कि we cannot do agriculture, and they started roaming from one place to another, and they started doing agriculture. Right? This shows that rather than the physical factors such as slope, it is the mental idea of the slope. It is the mental idea or mental construct of a slope. That plays the more important role. you can write as jo example. I'm just giving you the list of the examples which you can write it on. Australia is a perfect example of possibilism. It is a desert only, 60% of Australia is desert. We have developed artificial leaf, artificial tree. Examples unlimited hai. Man's conquest of moon. इसमें चाइना का डालो, ये करो. अगर ये ठीक नहीं लग रहा है तो you can put about steam engine की discovery which changed the wheel of human progress. Fine. You can take any of the examples. Just to make that, yeah, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro civilization, you can put that time when the climatic conditions were tough, they settled there, clearing of the forest and doing agriculture there. You can talk about Amazon ka clearing ka region and doing agriculture in that region. You can talk about entire Canada, Russia ka cities which are present in that region. You can talk how we are now doing agriculture even in Tibet or even in the Mount Everest, well, even in the Himalayas through the glass house effect. Getting it? So just ki human conquest ke kya examples hai, that is what you should remember. Right? वो इनका सब्जेक्ट मैटर नहीं है, इनका सब्जेक्ट मैटर इज वेदर द मैन इज सुप्रीम और एनवायरमेंट इज सुप्रीम. So environment is supreme, determinism. Everything is determined. You do not have your free will. Everything has been written as destiny and बस आप चलते रहोगे. You are just an actor here who is coming and going away. That is determinism. Whether it is economics, whether it is geography. Possibilism is at least you can try to change the conditions which are there. In changing the conditions, good. In changing the condition, maybe you will harm it. Harm always occurs through greed. You tell me, okay, green revolution has been, we are saying it is unsuccessful, it is harming Punjab ka population, etc. region, but go back to 60s, there was no food. What you will do in such condition? Understanding? You ask me today, or you ask yourself today कि there are two conditions, एक densely forested region है जहाँ पे there are tribal population, they have a lifespan या total life expectancy of 35 to 40 years, उनके generations उस दुनिया में रह रहे हैं, a company is coming, it is going to take care of their everything, it is going to give education to their 2-3 generations, and it will bring them to this level of development, it will create jobs in India, so which is better? वो जंगल ज़्यादा better है or that company is more important? That company is more important. It may solve the backwardness of many regions of India. Then you can do, then technology itself will talk about कि pollution को कैसे control करना है. Technology itself will give you solutions. But if you depend only on the nature, then तो there is no progress. There is stagnation. What? No, what will be negative of determinism is this human will, human free thinking, which has helped in development of technology. Fine, which has helped it. I am talking just here in the terms of technology. You can talk in the terms of medicines. You can talk in the terms of the agriculture. You can talk in the terms of environmental control. You can talk in the terms of the rocket science. You can talk in the terms of reducing the distance between the two places. Yes, but technology क्यों आई? Because there was a school of possibilism. नहीं तो क्या था? You cannot change everything. Everything is determined by nature. आप ऐसे हो because आपका climate ऐसे है. Understanding? Europe is superior because Europe का climate is superior. Nothing else. Europeans can think because they have maritime influence and warm ocean current. Warm ocean current किसने दिया है? Nature ने. This was the thinking. Who challenged it? It was challenged by David Harvey. Radicalism. He said that जो democracy की बात करता है, it itself is going to attack, it is attacking Vietnam. He challenged America and therefore radicalism developed in America. Influence for him was the Ratzel. So you are saying Ratzel is the father of determinism. Ratzel in this second volume of book Anthropogeography started even focusing on how culture has changed the landscapes rather than how landscapes have determined the culture. He talked about how culture has changed the landscapes. Imagine had there been no Mahajanpatas, then there would have been no Gupta empire, Ashokan empire, या Mauryan empire, या Mughals coming to India, or India becoming a power. And had there India not becoming a power, आज ये country नहीं होती. हम वही जंगल में रह रहे होते. I somewhere along the Western Ghats, fine, climbing the Western Ghat region and watching the Arabian Sea and thinking. Sample ने कहा है कि my thinking is long because I can see the sea from the distance. My legs are strong because वैसे see, अगर if Sample is very right, Sample says that the people in the mountainous region have strong legs. मेरे को problem किसकी है? पैर की है. Fine. So there is no determinism. Understanding? So getting it? This is all because of technology, and technology comes from the school of possibilism. That is, there are no limitations but only possibilities. वो कहता है possibilism. There are no necessities. There are only possibilities. And what are the possibilities depends upon the brain. Fine? Brain depends upon environment. But which environment? Not physical environment. Upon the socio-cultural environment. Getting it? So, getting it? Next point. Thus, numerous studies have shown that environment influences man comma, man in turn, man in turn, return, man in turn influences the environment, influences the environment, full stop. This interaction between man and environment, this interaction between man and environment is so intimate, is so intimate that it is difficult to separate both. It is difficult to separate both. It is difficult to separate both. Full stop. Still, determinism as a school of thinking is relevant. Still, determinism as a school of thinking is relevant. Because man has not been able to completely control or change the environment. Man has not been able to completely control or change the environment. And conclusion, the fanatical approach of nature or environment being supreme, nature or environment being supreme, led to the development of alternate paradigm of possibilism, alternate paradigm of possibilism. Or what I told you is also known as cultural determinism. क्या होगा इस स्कूल में? मैन, नेचर, फाइन. इसमें मैन इज छोटा, नेचर इज बड़ा. यहाँ पे मैन एंड नेचर बोथ, नेचर इज स्मॉलर एंड मैन इज बिगर. ही आर सेइंग मैन इज एन एक्टिव एजेंट एंड देयरफॉर ही इज एबल टू चेंज द नेचर. Who is credited with starting the school? The starting the school is this was given by Vidal de la Blache, and the word possibilism was developed by Lucien Febvre, French School of Geography. So कल अगर क्वेश्चन आता है regarding the French School of Geography, what you should write the answer on possibilism, right? French Geographical School. Now they started doing numerous studies. First I will take again the time to explain this. They started doing numerous studies, and while doing the numerous studies they came to a conclusion that, for example, a study of the Garo, Khasi and Jaintia people, all the three are living in the same environmental conditions, but all the three have different physical characteristics. Different racial group is also maybe same, but they have different physical characteristics, different health, different culture. Second, Gujars and Bakarwals. Third, farmers in the Denmark region. There were two categories of farmers. One farmer is able to take more produce from the land, and the same land में से दूसरा farmer is not able to take more produce. So this led to the study of the school of possibilism, which said there are no limitations in nature, there are only possibilities, and the possibilities depends upon us. Obviously वो ये नहीं कहता है कि we are infinite, वो कहता है nature will set the limits, fine, but for humans there are more possibilities in this limited nature. So other than nature being an active force, यहाँ पे man is an active agent and nature is a passive agent, and therefore it will talk about how human beings have changed the nature. As the human beings have changed the nature, take an example, there are XYZ people and these are the countries. यहाँ का people have made this country in XYZ manner, यहाँ का people have worked. I am not talking about developed या undeveloping country या underdeveloped, but they have changed the countries. So in the same climatic control, these 4 countries which I have drawn are different. यहाँ की economy is different, यहाँ का human development index is different. Getting it? यहाँ पे the measures of development, happiness etc. is different. And therefore you should know कि इस chapter में क्यों है human development index added. Human development index is not determined as per the school of determinism by the nature. By the school of possibilism, it is determined by how humans will take the efforts for the removal of poverty etc. इसलिए Vidal de Lablache said you should study these 4 countries separately. Fine? And what you should study in these 4 countries separately, you should study whether there is any river in any of this country, you should study uska climate, you should study uska topography, you should study etc. And therefore in the school of determinism, in the school of possibilism, is it not inherent, indirectly nahi keh raha hai ki you focus on regional geography? Understanding? पहले क्या करते थे, you used to study this entire region और कहते थे यहाँ पे ये climate है and therefore people in this region are like this, they may be positive, it may be negative, fine. Now he says even in the same climatic conditions there are variations, and variations in the culture, variations in the attitude of the people, variations in the motivation of the people, variations in the in the economic output, in the level of development, even though in the same climatic conditions. And therefore the focus of geography started shifting rather than from the big region to the small region, and the small regions were developed into different groups. शुरू नहीं हो रहा है regional geography. So this gave rise to the regional geography, systematic geography versus regional geography. And this concept of Vidal de Lablache is known as the concept of pays. Pays. Pays means nothing but small territories in French language, the concept of pays. So यहाँ से शुरू हो गया regional geography. 1960s, 18 after the industrial revolution, did technology come? Right? Now coming to your question, you all had a question, in the possibilism, is it not that technology which plays an important role? So in 1850s to early 1900, the school of possibilism became very dominant, and the determinism as a concept was rejected because of the industrial revolution. And industrial revolution say humans got the technology, and with the coming up of the technology we could show that how we can change the natural landscape. So yes, possibilism is possible only with the technological development, and इसलिए possibilism started rising from the 1900, early 1900 till 1950s, 1960s. अब you can imagine, अभी तक तो there were followers of only the school determinist. उसमें से एक group बन गया possibilist, and therefore there was a clash between the determinism and possibilism. Determinists don't bother about regional geography, they worry about the general laws, about the climate. W.M. Davis का मॉडल ले लो, कोई भी theory ले लो. Here they focus on the regional geography, they don't worry about the variations in the regional geography. And therefore the second dualism in the geography started coming, which is regional versus physical geography. Getting it? And with the rise of possibilism, which geography became more dominant? General geography या regional geography? Regional geography. With the rise of possibilism, regional geography became dominant. When you study regional geography, you study why there are variations. Fine? So tell me, can you make general laws? Can you make general laws when you study regional geography? No, you cannot make general laws. You will study यहाँ के लोग ऐसे क्यों है, यहाँ के लोग वैसे क्यों है. You will make general laws if there is something similarity, but there are only differences. So as a result of this, geography as a science was challenged again in 1950s. because the subject matter disgraced or you can say diverted from making general laws, and it can no longer be called as a science. And इसलिए 1950s के end में we saw quantitative revolution in geography. Getting it? So quantitative revolution is the bounce back of determinism. Understanding? Quantitative revolution is the bounce back of determinism. क्योंकि जब तक आप कुछ चीज़ों को पूरी तरह नहीं पढ़ते, till that time you won't be able to make general laws. Till the time you don't make general laws, or for example, take a simple example, till the time you don't understand trade winds, westerlies, you won't be understanding Indian monsoon. If you just focus on Indian monsoon, there is nothing. Indian monsoon, हाँ ये एक ऐसी wind आ रही है, एक ऐसी wind आ रही है. But when you understand general laws, pressure belts of the world, trade winds, jet streams, high pressure, low pressures, Tibetan plateau, then and you study the holistic phenomena and you integrate India with the Madagascar, with the Pacific Ocean, rather than focusing on what is the difference, then only geography becomes interesting. General laws में तो geography becomes haywire. There is no question to ask why the country का people in the country A are richer than maybe people in the country B. Scientist आपको कहेगा maybe उनका motivation level अच्छा है, right? उनका motivation level different. And what is the motivation level? There can be any kind of a motivation level. For someone, less salary but more family time can be a motivation. For someone, less family time but more salary can be motivation. वो तो depend करेगा on the mental maps, how you pursue an information. Getting it? Understanding? So, see, अब it is really interesting कि अब possibilism rise हो रहा है, quantitative revolution आ रहा है as a backdrop of possibilism. उसने फिर से general laws बनाने शुरू कर दिए, but general laws बनाने शुरू करने के बाद it again started focusing on physical geography. 1950s, 40s, many countries have started becoming independent. As many countries have started becoming independent, people have started reading, technology has started developing, there has been globalization. With the globalization, अब there is a comparison between two different parts of the world. So दिखता है कि एक जगह democracy है, दूसरी जगह the same country is subjugating the people under the name of colonialism. You see that in some parts there are richest people in the world and some part there is absolute poverty. Fine? And this cannot be explained by the general laws, because quantitative revolution or physical geography is focusing only on best economic output. So इसीलिए इसी समय आता है behavioralism, welfareism, radicalism and humanism. अब ये सारे एक साथ चलेंगे. अब तक who was dominating? Determinism. Everything was dominated by nature from the start of civilization till industrial revolution. अब industrial revolution के बाद 20-30 साल के लिए there was a possibilism. Then quantitative revolution, and against quantitative revolution again everything. Because 1915 to 1920s, 1910 to 1920s was the era in the entire world including India of comeback of the philosophy of positivism. Means people wanted to become more scientific. Why? Because this is geography lecture, I won't be telling you, but this is the reason why numerous second generation ka social reform started happening in 1920s, 1910, 1920s. People started questioning the authority of the law. First generation ka happened much earlier during the Raja Ram Mohan Roy period, but second generation ka happened. ये जो undercurrents है world के, these are all same. 1980s in the world was the fall of USSR, rise of capitalism, fine, and therefore 1980s to 1990s in the world was removal of government control, जिसको हम कहते हैं LPG, जो इंडिया में 1992 में आया. Getting it? Undercurrents are always there in the world, but the problem here starts now because it results into chaos in the society. How it results into chaos in the society? अभी तक तो there was general law making, there was scientific study of everything, but now women started questioning what about our rights. Environmentalists started questioning what about our rights. Women started questioning, for example, that we don't get salary, but your country's GDP is determined even by an housewife, and this is very true. It's very true that if the housewife, the woman who is working at home, does not give time to raise the children or does not give time to keep the house in order, पूरा country का economy collapse हो सकता है. But nobody recognizes her role, right? So this is what is the feminism. Ab some countries started recognizing the role कि housewife should have a salary. That is, a person should start giving some portion of his salary to his wife, depending upon. ये countries ने किया है. Remember this. There are some laws which have been taken back now. So wife started giving salary. Suppose your salary is maybe XYZ rupees. So उसमें से कुछ percentage, 25%, 30, 35% आप wife को देते थे after every month. And housewife was getting a salary. And she is also now working. And she used to manage everything. That is for the work she is taking. अब जब आप salary देने लगते हो, in the emotional level का relationship problems होता है. When the housewife started getting salary, she started demanding better conditions for labor. Fine. She means घर में ये होना चाहिए. She started demanding weekly off in the house. She started demanding reforms in the house. Getting it? She is saying कि आप मुझे 25,000 सैलरी दे रहे हो, मैं काम कर रही हूँ 30,000 का. जैसे आपको संडे को छुट्टी चाहिए तो मुझे भी संडे को छुट्टी चाहिए. Fine? Getting it? And this resulted into the chaos in the society. So therefore it is said that sometimes things should not be too liberal. Getting it? And इसलिए बहुत सारी Scandinavian countries which had passed this bill rejected the bill because families tension and families breakage, divorce के cases suddenly rise हो गए थे. And this is the era, welfareism, radicalism. Because the school of geography which first started talking about woman का salary is radicalism. Which first started talking about housewife का space in the house. जैसे आपको अगर जॉब करके इफ़ यू आर गोइंग होम कि आपको थोड़ी शांति चाहिए, हाउसवाइफ भी कह सकती है कि तुम घर पे आने के बाद मुझे भी थोड़ी शांति चाहिए क्योंकि आई एम बिन वर्किंग हियर फॉर एंटायर डे. दैट इज वेलफेयरिज्म. इट स्टार्टेड टॉकिंग अबाउट स्पेस और ह्यूमनिज्म. गेटिंग इट? दिस इज हाउ जियोग्राफी बिकेम मल्टी पैराडाइम. सो व्हेन यू मेक थिंग्स कॉम्प्लेक्स, आंसर्स आर आल्सो वेरी वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स. So उससे अच्छा बेस्ट इज ठीक है, क्लाइमेट है ऐसा, वी आर लाइक दिस, वी आर हैप्पी. इग्नोरेंस इज अ ब्लिस. डिमांड इज ट्रू, बट हाउ टू जस्ट क्वांटिफाई इट?
Because we have not even thought about that process there, because we are so much man-centric that no, it is creating chaos, but it is.
Yes, he is right. It is true, but it failed. Why it is not continuing now? See, it was solved in the Soviet Union and it was good for the economics of that time, economy of that time. Now the economy itself has become so complex.
This model has been copied by England and now they are paying the wives of people who are doing government jobs.
Yes, government job wives they are paying, but who is paying? Man is not paying the money. Government is paying the money. Till the time government is paying the money or Shubhra Ranjana is paying the money, I am happy. The time it is getting cut from my salary, I will start demanding कि बताओ आज क्या काम किया है. And the time I start demanding from my wife, I will be out of my house. Fine? So that is the problem here. Till the time government is doing that, fine, give. Yes, my wife works there, ma'am thinks, give her whatever salary you want. I will be happy because that salary is going to come to my household only. And see, as I told you, you should always study from historical background, current development, criticisms and conclusion. Fine? And then I only will ask you to compare this and write an answer on your own, okay, which school is better. Right? So, possibilism. Is the subject now becoming very easy as compared to the first 2 days? अब समझ में आ रहा है? Till the time of return it was difficult, but now it is very easy. Only thing is, yes, it is factual. You have to take the name of some of the geographers. And you have to be bit innovative. You have to be aware of what is happening in the surrounding, and you should know how to fit it in the answer. Whether you should fit it in the answer of possibilism, Delhi ka pollution, you can put it in the answer of determinism, right? And BS6 norms, you can put it in the answer of possibilism. Everything is happening in beside you. So neither determinism, conclusion is neither determinism is dominant, neither possibilism is dominant. They should go hand in hand, because they are the two sides of the same coin. They are not two different coins. Getting it? Possibilism. Where did it develop? France. Can someone tell me why it developed in France? Is French an advanced society? Is French a developed society? And in 1920s or early 1900 or late 1850s, what is it, an advanced society? Yes. It was an advanced society. There were the ideas of revolution, etc., French Revolution, etc. And in the advanced societies, the people who are rich will always question over generalization. If you say to any person who is extremely poor in India, ये school of determinism है, तेरा कुछ नहीं हो सकता, he will say, हाँ, ये मेरे नसीब में ही है. But if you tell it to the rich person, ये तेरा कुछ नहीं हो सकता, वो कहेगा, बताओ किस बैंक से मुझे लोन लेना है, तो मुझे सिर्फ आइडिया दो, मैं स्टार्टअप बनाता हूँ. Fine? That is the difference. So it always started in France as against in Germany. Background, look at the geography of Germany, look at the geography of France. Culture of Germany, culture of France, not geography. Germany का culture was Hitler. You cannot do anything, no individual freedom. वो automatically determinism की तरफ attract हो गए. France का culture is liberty, equality, etc. freedom. They got attracted towards possibilism. Getting it? So you see, even the ideas or the philosophy you support determines in what your surroundings. Yes, time was different. Obviously, it is all temporal. इसलिए तो अभी जैसे pollution आ गया तो there is no possibilism, there is no determinism, there is stop and go determinism. It all changes with the time. That is the difference between science and humanities. Science ka laws are permanent or more or less permanent. Now there is a question also that the entire concept of relativity is wrong. This is also being questioned. But ठीक है, at least it is permanent. It has been proved. Possibilism. In the advanced societies, historical background, introduction. In the advanced societies, people started questioning. Extreme generalizations of determinism, around 1890s, the dominant thought was nature sets limits, and offered numerous possibilities for humans. Nature क्या करता है? Offers numerous choices for the humans. वो कहता था nature does not give any choice, nature will determine everything. Now nature is giving you choice, so who becomes active? You become active. Which choice you are going to take? Which choice you are going to take depends upon, can I say, your way of living, matlab your culture, right? Full stop. But the way man adjusts or reacts to these conditions, man adjusts or reacts to these conditions depends upon his traditional way of living. His traditional way of living. In the bracket, write genre dy. Genre dy. His traditional way of living. That is culture. Genre dy. ट्रेडिशनल वे ऑफ लिविंग को फ्रेंच में कहते हैं जेनरे दी वाई, नथिंग एल्स. जेनरे, now I cannot say genre devi actually in French. I say genre dy because you should know the spelling. If I say genre devi, my itself will write some other Junre. Right? So it is nothing but the way of living. Way of living aate hi man becomes more active force. Right? And this should come in the first para. Yeah, this term should come in the exam, because what I have given you is as it is Lablashka statement. This is a Lablashka statement. Vidal de Lablashka statement, the father of possibilism. Fine? Next. Thus this school gives active role to the man. Active role to the man. Man as an active agent. Considers man as an active agent. So if you remember, in that we started with, I told you Aristotle से start करो in determinism. यहाँ पे you should start with Plato, the first possibilist. And वहाँ पे there is so long list of thinkers. यहाँ पे Plato से directly we come to Montesquieu, Buffon से we come to Blash, because there are no people who will think in a different way. Most of the people are herd mentality. Fine? यहाँ पे there are very few people. So यहाँ पे introduction will be maximum, historical background will be maximum of 20 words. Plato was the master of deductive reasoning. Was the master of deductive reasoning. That is logic. Deductive reasoning means logic. Who considered man as an agent of change. Agent as change, which provides an philosophical background for possibilism. Which provides an philosophical background for possibilism. Montesquieu is in both. Fine? Montesquieu gave the concept of general spirit of a nation. जनरल स्पिरिट ऑफ अ नेशन, जो आज हम कहते हैं सोशल कैपिटल, इसी को हम कहते हैं सोशल कैपिटल, बट दिस इज व्हाट इज द जनरल स्पिरिट ऑफ द नेशन, which is guided by moral and physical causes, which is guided by moral and physical causes. But its strong base was led by Buffon, who believed that man was commanded to conquer the earth. Man was commanded to conquer the earth. बस हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड खत्म. स्टार्ट फ्रॉम प्लेटो, वहाँ पे स्टार्ट फ्रॉम एरिस्टोटल, कम टू डार्विन, बीच में एक अरब नाम डाल देना एज अ रिस्पेक्ट. फाइन. वन मोर एग्जाम्पल यू लाइक, डार्विन, रैडजेल. यहाँ पे स्टार्ट विथ प्लेटो, कम डायरेक्टली टू बफन, मॉन्टेस्क्यू, चॉइस इज योर्स. बट रिमेंबर, मैन इज कमांडेड बाय गॉड टू कॉन्कर द अर्थ. So regarded or what are the physical conditions, you go and conquer the entire earth. So who is supreme? Man is supreme. Understanding? Next. Theory or concept. Vidal de la Blache strongly opposed the Darwinian Ratzelian heritage. Ratzelian heritage. Because according to him, there are only possibilities in the nature. There are only possibilities in the nature. There are only possibilities in the nature. The key idea behind this philosophy is the key idea behind this philosophy is there are no necessities. There are no necessities, but only possibilities. But only possibilities. In the bracket, bus, this 2 should come in the exam. Baki ka choice is yours. Faber. Father of possibilism, Laplace. The person who coined the word possibilism, Lucien Faber. disciple of Laplace, right? इसलिए उसका statement is also very important. See, when you are approaching the answer, start आपने किया without the Laplace. Examiner knows it is being corrected by the top teachers of geography, professors of geography. They know the statements by heart. So they see you start with Laplace, you go to Plato, and again you quote Weber. So उससे ही मन बन जाएगा कि yes, this person knows what he has written, and he will give you good marks, right? Or if you just without quoting these people, if you just up, because there is nothing much to write, वही बातें हैं बार बार, so then it won't impress the examiner. So you have to quote some people, fine? Getting it? Determinism is seen even in the School of Management and Public Administration, and possibilism is also seen in the School of Management and Public Administration. Fine. Determinism is seen in the School of Management and Public Administration. यहाँ पे geography में there is climate, वहाँ पे the only determining factor is money. So they say in management and public administration scientific determinism of Taylor, जैसे हम कहते हैं environmental determinism, they say scientific determinism. Those who have known about studied public administration knows this. Taylor कहता है give people money and they will work. You make them work for as many conditions as possible, as many days as possible. अगर वो थोड़ा, if he gets demotivated, cut his salary, and they will be forced to work. If he gets demotivated, increase his salary, he will be forced to work, and he will give you the best output. फिर एक बीच में एक थिंकर आता है, वो क्वेश्चन करता है उसको कि ये ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है. Suppose I want to work and you don't understand my work, and he takes the best example of carpenter and painter who should complete his job in 2 days, but just to increase his money he takes 6 days to complete his job. Understanding? Is it right or wrong? A painter says इस रूम को कितना टाइम लगेगा. Initially he says हाँ एक दिन में हो जाएगा. When you come after 1 day, वो कहता है नहीं वो कोना बचा है, ये दीवार में ज़्यादा साफ सफाई करनी पड़ी, and therefore एक और दिन लगेगा. So then the Taylor brings in the concept of time clock कि नहीं इतने ही टाइम में होना चाहिए, and he brings the concept of breaks. Only this break is taken. उसके बाद someone comes in public administration and questions the idea of Taylor and says, after questioning the people, कि does money only inspire you, या office में कैसे लोग हैं, कैसे conditions है, whether the office is giving you salaries, whether the office is giving you health insurance, etc., that inspires you. So लोग कहते हैं नहीं money inspire नहीं होता, salary is up to a limit, उसके बाद what are the conditions? Possibilism. Understanding? And then दोनों स्कूल में एक कॉमन है, that is behavioralism. Fine? And then geography takes a different direction through quantitative revolution. Till 1950s, both these subjects developed simultaneously, because both of theirs are applied subjects. That is why I take the example of public administration only. Getting it? Next point. French geographers such as Lucien Febvre studied human groups in more or less similar conditions. Studied Lucien Febvre. Studied human groups in more or less similar conditions. But he noticed French geographers such as Lucien Febvre studied different groups in similar conditions. And found that there is drastic difference in genre di vai, that is the way of living. is a drastic difference in genre di vai or the way of living. क्या है same? Climatic conditions are same, but there is a drastic difference in the genre di vai. Case study. Case study. Laplace found that people on different sides of Vosges mountain, Vosges is a block mountain between France and Germany, found that people in different sides of Vosges mountains in the Rhine Valley region, have very different way of living, giving rise to French and German communities. French and German communities. He studied the farmers. In the Europe, and came with the conclusion that rather than the soil, it is the way of agriculture which determines the output of the crops. Output of the crops. Wheat, which first originated in the Mediterranean countries, have largest production in the prairie regions of USA. Similarly, corn is a tropical crop. Corn or maize is a tropical crop. But it is mostly grown in USA. Full stop. Understanding the example? वो क्या कहता है? Rather than climate, soil, etc., it is the human. So he takes an example of wheat, which was first done in the steppe regions. Today, steppes are no longer famous for wheat. It is the USA, जहाँ पे climate, soil, everything is different, physical conditions or natural environment. Same is with the corn, maize. The best quality corn in the world comes from USA. So this is how he says, it is not the nature, but it is the human input which is more important. Clear? So if you want, you can use this diagram for the exam, because ये answers बहुत monotonous हो जाते हैं if you don't make the diagram. Can I continue? This is according to Laplace. According to Laplace, nature is only an advisor. Nature is only an advisor. Only an advisor. I'll read Manu's statement, no need of writing this. Isolation or lack of fresh, innovative ideas seems to be primary obstacle to the conception of progress. It is never the nature which is an obstacle. Those societies which have been isolated by geographical conditions, either on islands or in the mountains or in the dense forest, have been cursed with stagnation. But in these societies where the man has taken initiative to clear those forests, there has been blessing of development. This is what was written by Laplace in 1922. तब there was no problem of environmental degradation. So उनको वो idea ही नहीं आती थी. But understanding what he is saying, and see what Ratzel says कि जो isolated है, they are the best. ये कहता है कि नहीं isolated है तो you are backward because there is no mixture of ideas. Getting it? Next. Blash focused on studying the physical and human features, each divided into distinctive regional units. Understanding what is starting now? Regional geography. Each divided into distinctive regional units. Known as pays. So pays is a distinctive regional unit. Do you know what is watershed management? What is watershed management? Watershed management is a area in which entire river basin is divided into smaller river basins having uska distinctive culture. So if this is a river basin, so example, if this is a river basin, this may be a tributary of a main river, but this is a smaller tributary. दूसरी जगह दूसरी tributary है, तीसरी जगह तीसरी tributary है. So this entire tributary is made as a one planning zone, and focus is done on improving this region. यहाँ का officer will do the focus on improving this region. The officer here will do the focus on improving this region. What happens? Automatically the main river gets improved. If you focus on pollution, water quality control, etc. So याद रखना watershed management वाला concept has been inspired by the Vidal de la Blanca concept of place. If each and every village in India makes a tank to store rain water, automatically the problem of drought will be vanished. So वो कहता है rather than studying systematically कि पूरे इंडिया में interlinking से कैसे droughts को निकाला जाए, rather than let it be done in recognizable distinctive units, regional units, which is known as pays. Getting this idea? Jean Bruns Jean Bruns 1910, 1890s Laplace, 1910 to 1920 Jean Bruns, 1922 Lucien Febvre. So philosophy was started by Vidal de Laplace, and uska third disciple, third generation ने concept दिया possibilism का, but idea so ऐसे गया. जीन ब्रून्स का क्या क्रेडिट है? जीन ब्रून्स helped in spreading out the philosophy outside France. Outside France. Outside France. According to him, human geography is a field of compromise. According to him, human geography is a field of compromise, where nothing is absolute. Where nothing is absolute. Nothing is absolute. Means he is criticizing sample etc. Ki, there is nothing absolute. It is all about the field of compromise. He was the geographer who focused on exploitation of the nature by humans. याद रखना. He was the first possibilist who talked about exploitation. ये possibilism is exploitation, but that was exploitation in the terms of positive way. कि देखो how man has exploited the nature and converted the forest into agricultural lands. He was positive in that. अब जाके जाके वो आजकल negative हो रहा है. Fine, but you have to remember the stage where it was. 1920s. There was no problem of environmental degradation. Next. Bruns focused on human exploitation. Focused on humans' exploitation of earth and the limit set by the nature to the man's action. Limit set by the nature to the man's action. But the next point, but the philosophical base, and the term possibilism was given by Lucien Febvre. Lucien Febvre. Isaiah Bauman, or you can just write Bauman. Isaiah Bauman. Examined how two crops changed the destiny of Europe. Two crops, bracket में लिखना, potato and maize. Europe is the largest producer of potato. Potato generally comes from South America. It was introduced in India by Portuguese. Getting it? I will have to see. I have not seen that. Two crops, potato and maize, have changed the destiny of Europe. These crops were not known to Europe. Before or in the pre-Columbian era. Then he asked a question, have the crops changed or soil changed and climate changed? So answer क्या है? Crops have changed. सॉइल एंड क्लाइमेट तो वही है, अंडरस्टैंडिंग, पर इतना लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है. This Bauman was of the view that it is the knowledge, and man himself who sets the limitations on himself. It is the knowledge and the man himself who sets the limitations. Sour. Sour. If you want marks, you will have to write ye thinkers. I am giving you minimum thinkers, which are very important, from 3 different books. Fine? I have not given you Richthofen. I have not given you Scuttler. I have not given you Schafferson. So, Faber, Saur, and Saur is very, very important. अब Saur is of an idea. Ratzel ने क्या कहा था? Man have changed the, it is the physical environment. Britain and Japan का physical conditions, या Semple ने कहा था it is the physical climate which determines the culture of a region. Saur कहेगा नहीं, it is the culture which determines the physical climate of a region. And you take an example, we say Tarai belt in western UP, GS में ही पढ़ते हैं हम. Punjab, Haryana and western UP has been completely changed for sugarcane, rice and wheat cultivation. The original Tarai belt is now present only in the Kaziranga regions of Assam. So who is dominant? Nature is dominant or man is dominant? Don't look at it in the positive, अच्छी बात है या बुरी बात है. Just look it in without any values. Who is more dominant? Man is dominant या nature is dominant? Man is dominant. Fine? So, इससे we have changed this entire region. So, because of the deforestation, we have started doing agriculture. Tarai का soil was वैसे भी very fertile soil. Because of the fertility, density of the population increased and it gave rise to the culture which is present in this region. Getting it? So, it is the man who is dominant. और यही कहेगा Saur. Saur कहेगा there are no physical landscapes and he introduced the term cultural landscapes. इसलिए Saur is important. Saur कहेगा it is the culture which have changed the nature and he will call this as cultural landscapes, not the physical landscapes. Getting it? Cultural landscapes, which in your syllabus is given as major cultural regions of the world. In the same syllabus it is given. और एक ही क्वेश्चन आता है इसमें से, Indo-Gangetic cultural belt. Should you study another? No. This question comes once in 7 to 10 years. And there is only one question which comes, that is Indo-Gangetic cultural belt. Cultural regions. Fine? Then Saur further influenced many people to determine the economic geography of a region, and the followers of the Saur school divided the world into different cultural belts, including industrial regions, and therefore in GS you have Mumbai Pune industrial region, Delhi NCR industrial region, Bengal industrial region, Chennai, that is जो industrial regions in India है GS में, this all is the legacy of Saur. Say, can I say one thing, that is the legacy of human development is possible because of the possibilism. क्या मैं कह सकता हूँ कि ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इज पॉसिबल बिकॉज ऑफ पॉसिबिलिज्म? सी वर्ड में ही है पॉसिबल. ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इज पॉसिबल बाय द पॉसिबिलिज्म. और सी द सेइंग, स्टार्स डू नॉट डिटरमाइन योर डेस्टिनी, इट इज योर हार्ड वर्क दैट डिटरमाइंस योर डेस्टिनी. डज नॉट डिटरमाइन मीन्स इट इज अगेंस्ट डिटरमिनिज्म. ठीक है? सो सौर, कार्ल ओ सौर. क्यों इसका नाम लिखना जरूरी है? Because he was the only possibilist in USA. Carl Osor influence the possibilist movements in USA, influence the possibilist movement in USA. Saur gave the concept of cultural landscapes, cultural landscapes. In which he says that humans in accordance with his culture, values, with his culture, values, transforms the natural surroundings. Transforms the natural surroundings. Transforms the natural surroundings. Full stop. Thus, man is the latest agent in fashioning the landscapes. Man is the latest agent in fashioning the landscapes. So, this is an example of one cultural landscape, that is in the Gangetic cultural realm. Fine? यहाँ का culture etc. की study. This is another cultural landscape, Arabian region. Next. Thus, in 1920s, especially after the First World War, in 1920s, especially after the First World War, the major theme in the geographical studies, was possibilism. Now tell me, what will be the criticisms of this? What? Man may underestimate the nature. उसके बाद over exploitation of the resources. तीसरा, someone give me the idea. I am not getting exactly what I want actually. Regional planning in India started with the same input, with same this thing, but it was successful only in certain parts of the world, and it was not successful in the some other parts of the world. The reason is because, yes, you can change everything jab tak climatic conditions are good, but if the climatic conditions are not that good, you cannot go and change entire Antarctica. You cannot go and settle in the North Pole and South Pole. Fine? So criticisms. First, man can never entirely get, man can never entirely rid themselves, rid themselves. Sorry, cancel it. I will give you in a simple language. Man can never be totally free from the natural influences. Man can not be totally free from the natural influences. Example is there are some regions in the world, there are some regions in the world where due to natural conditions, where due to natural conditions, allow good productivity of the soil, but in the tough climatic conditions, the efforts of the man, may be tested. Efforts of the man may be tested. May be tested. Efforts of the man may be tested. Yeah, may not be fruitful. ऐसे लिखो simple language में. May not be fruitful. Second, possibilism is criticized. Possibilism is criticized by some geographers as responsible for environmental degradation and climate change. Do you agree with them or not? Yes, responsible for environmental degradation and climate change. Third, possibilism promotes over anthroposism. Promotes over anthroposism. Promotes over anthropocentrism. So it is only man oriented. Over anthropocentrism. But neglects physical geography. And thus it is criticized for destroying the main core of geography. Main core of geography. Next point, by 1950s, it became so unorganized, or distorted. It became so distorted. याद रखना why distorted? एग्जाम में जब भी रिवाइज करोगे तो you should use this. Means no need of writing an exam. This is just for your reference. Lack of scientific laws. Why lack of scientific laws? Because it focuses on humans. that geography started losing its scientific status. Scientific status. Getting it? The original, next and the last point, the original possibilism of Blash, the original possibilism of Blash had given equal importance to man and nature, had given equal importance to man and nature. उसने कहा था starting में nature will set the limits, had given equal importance to man and nature. But the later geographers relegated means reduced nature to secondary role. Relegated nature to secondary role. Relegated, reduced nature to a secondary role. Man can do anything, nature is not important. इसलिए तो environmental degradation हो रहा है. Understanding? Possibilism में original जो Blash का था, there has to be equal respect of the nature, way of living. Way of living is always with the culture, culture is always with the nature. अब यहाँ पे सिर्फ economic हो गया geography. Means over the period of time Blash से inspire होके विटल से ने दिया एग्रीकल्चर डिविजन्स की, अगर ये ऐसा रीजन है, सो दिस इज द सिटी, यहाँ पे फॉरेस्ट रखो सिटी के आसपास, देन ग्रो व्हीट हियर, देन ग्रो पोटैटो हियर, देन ग्रो मेज हियर, देन ग्रो ओट्स हियर. दिस रिजल्टेड इनटू जस्ट इकोनॉमिक ज्योग्राफी. गेटिंग इट? एंड कंक्लूजन, after 1960s, possibilism was overtaken by quantitative revolution and neo-determinism. Quantitative revolution and neo-determinism. Getting it? Whether there is dichotomy or not between possibilism and determinism, it will be explained by neo-determinism. Should I give you a break? Okay, we'll meet at 6:10. We'll finish this topic only today. ये दो ही बचे हैं. They are very easy.